everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Accessa Tech Talks. I'm your host, Radu, and today we're going to talk about how innovation is transforming healthcare. From smart systems to automation to ultimately one of the most important goals, which is to improve the patient's journey and outcomes. I'm really glad to talk about this particular subject with a representative from Stryker, which is one of the leading medical technology companies in the whole world. Stryker has also been our customer about a year now already, and we're really glad that they were open to share the stage today in this episode with us. Our guest today is Devanshu, who I'm also happy to be working with on some interesting projects in the area of automation, but also data engineering. Devanshu, great to have you today in our show.
So, first of all, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And as Radu said, I am Devanshu. I have been working with Stryker for the past a little bit more than 2 years right now, and in my current position for almost 2 years as an automation and application engineer. And yes, we have been working together for the past almost 1 year. It has been great. The journey has been very rewarding. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I think that's the right mood to start, and we're also happy you share our feelings of being grateful for this collaboration. It's been really an interesting one, and I think if we look ahead, I think it will get even more interesting in a positive way, of course.
For sure.
Good. As usually, we will go straight to the point with our questions from the beginning. And I'm curious, Devanshu, what does innovation in healthcare mean to you?
Well, so I think innovation is not just about, I don't know, some sort of automation that people normally think, or they start talking innovation and directly connecting it with technology. They only say that, this is innovative when there's a data-driven decision and stuff like that. I actually see innovation as the how of the question. So whenever there is a problem that we want to solve, and how do we solve the problem is something that is the root for innovation, according to me. So I always answer the same way as right now. If somebody says what is innovation, for me, it's looking for that how part of the question.
Right. Interesting. But when it comes to healthcare, so healthcare has been a lot about hardware, complex machinery or equipment. And I think it has been like that in the recent decades. However, this has gradually changed. It has embraced software bit by bit. And I think it's moving towards, or it has been moving towards, the convergence of IT and OT in the most recent years. Now, this phenomenon, on the other hand, is moving very fast. How is technology making a difference in the patient's life today?
So I think technology is basically, the word technology itself is going to be like the bridge between something that is designed by any company, be it medical devices, let's say, since we are focusing on it. So technology is basically the bridge between the design and the outcome that the patient is getting. And in my world, let's say, technology is quality, technology is precision, technology is compliance. And for example, when we are talking about innovation, the innovation that we do has to be precise, accurate, should be of quality, and should be trusted. So I think this tiny information that we are talking about right now would be what technology means for patients. So it's basically how we connect what we design and what the patients are getting.
Let's zoom in on a specific case so that our audience understands better what you are dealing with in your work. What's one digital initiative that changed things in your sector recently?
So medical devices, let's say, or medical technologies is not only about manufacturing and delivering implants or something to patients, or CT scanners or MRI devices. This used to be the situation before. Something that I have really seen change in this sector right now is how lean can you make your manufacturing? How lean can you make your processes so that you have most
Okay.
reduced error? And the digitalization and the automation of these processes, these lean processes that run in the background that normally people don't get to see, is something that has taken a huge change in the past few years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you give one example maybe where automation improved or these lean, let's say, processes improved manufacturing performance or quality, maybe something more concrete?
Sure. So, for example, we want to make sure, let's say, the items or the products that the patients are getting
Mm-hmm.
are of the right quality, as I mentioned before. So there has to be some checks that has to be done for everything that we produce. There has to be some auditing done. There has to be some review, some validation, and only when we think that it's exactly the same that we want it, we will give it to the patients, right? And this process is just checking the qualities as a simple process like checking a quality of something that we have produced and automating it so that there is no human intervention and the human chances of human error are really less. So the whole process from the beginning to the end, when it's automated, it then assures us that it is going to be exactly done the same way, exactly following the same steps, time and again, until we are following the process. This is just one example of how automation can help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So because of the impact it can have, reducing human intervention and make it all very predictable
Yes.
and exact is critical in this field, right?
Yes, so this goes back to the point of precision, which means we have to be accurate not once, but repeated
Mm-hmm.
number of times. And automation allows us to repeat the same task with the same amount of accuracy over and over again, which improves the precision of the process that we are trying to automate, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. I know you started on this digital transformation journey for a while now. What were your biggest challenges so far, and what was one thing that you've learned?
Um, the challenges, if I want to begin with it, is that the the type and the amount or the volume of data that we normally handle is always a challenge. And then this always connects back to compliance. So what the challenge comes, let's say, hand in hand with this compliance factor. The more complex your processes, the more difficult it is to design that process to automate completely. Because if it's a very critical process, somebody will say, "Oh, this I don't think this can be validated just as a process itself. We need someone to come and always verify your output because this is a very critical process. It directly impacts something that would happen to the customer, let's say." So this is a challenge that we always face: how to make sure that our processes, although being lean, are correct and according to compliant uh, norms. And something that I've learned is that I don't really believe that everything should be digitalized or automated. Digitalization to some extent, yes, but there should be some scope of non-automation as well, because there are some processes that require non-automation that don't need to be automated because of the criticality of the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe share with us some positive things from this, let's say, journey of digital transformation.
So the biggest thing that we see, and it always brings a smile to my face as you see I'm smiling right now, is because the amount of effort it saves. Automation
Mm-hmm.
saves a lot of time, a lot of effort for the current teams, you know. And this effort, the people who were doing these redundant tasks, let's say manually at one point of time, when they see the change from this manual to an automatic process, they are awestruck. They're like, wow, this change is so good that I can now focus on something else that's more critical. I don't have to do the same tasks that I did every day at 8 o'clock in the morning. And this is something that I always take as one of the most positive feedbacks. When
Mhm.
people realize that the sheer scope of how much we can do with automation and digitalization.
It's great that you can experience that, because a lot of companies we talk about or we talk to usually stop at this POC phase, aren't that courageous to scale it, and yeah, it's a positive thing that you can see how this impacts the work of the employees, and also the outcomes overall at scale. Um, this is a good thing. On the other hand, I might say, maybe you agree with me, you also need people to be open-minded when it comes to their tasks, because I could argue that some of them are a bit skeptical at first, maybe scared about this whole automation, about the importance of their job, and they need to be open-minded in order to succeed in this, right?
So that you have hit a very, very nice point, to be honest. This is like this is a also you can say could be a challenge in some cases that
Mm-hmm.
change management is not very easy. So this
Mm-hmm.
change from something that people are already comfortable doing, and then you come and say, hey, I think there's a better way to do this, and you did it, you implemented it. So this, like you said, sometimes people are not very open-minded to change. And this is something that we also normally struggle with change management as a challenge. And then we have to plan our whole process and delivery of whatever, with anything that we're doing in our team or anywhere also else as well. I think change is one of the biggest factors that we have to take as how acceptable is it going to be to people, or how willingly people are going to accept something that we propose as a change.
And given that you went through this, maybe do you have an advice for other companies in the healthcare industry, other professionals, how to engage in this change management?
Um, the Something that I have seen, and I speak this from my own personal experience, and
Mm-hmm.
this is only my view, I would say, is that people will see value as their motivation. So we have to, or I normally try to show what value it could bring going through that difficult change, because change is always difficult for everybody, right? It's for me, for you, for anybody. Change is not very easy. So
Indeed.
what I try to do is I try to show them the value that this or anything that I'm trying to change in their current routine is going to bring to them. And when they start seeing that glimpse, the small, let's say, examples of the value that it will bring them, then they slightly become more acceptable by time. And the second advice would be that we have to be very, very persistent. Persistence is key. You always talk to them. There will be people who will reject you once or twice, maybe 5 times, but on the seventh time, they might be open to it. So persistence, we have to do it all the time, again and again.
This decision isn't easy, and while you persist, you actually give them bit by bit this information
Yes,
to process.
yes,
And yeah, bit by bit they can manage to process it, and at some point they understand that at the end you want to your outcomes to be valuable, and this means this tool can help you actually at the end of the day deliver more value and feel more impactful. I mean, it raises a lot the intrinsic motivation at the end of the day when you know that you've achieved a lot more with your time and action.
yes, for sure. I mean, there's something that I read somewhere, I think a few months back, that there's a rule of seven when you talk to people about change. The rule of
Hmm.
seven states that you have to tell someone something 7 times throughout, let's say, over a period of time. And by the seventh time, you will start to see that the people, whoever you're talking to, are accepting change. And this is something psychologically, it always works with people. The rule of seven, I call it, and it's really effective. So you can give it a try if you want to change something for someone, and you do this 7 times. It should not be that 7 times in a week. Over time, maybe in 7 months or 6 months, you mention this idea or this innovation to someone 7 times. The seventh time you will see that the person is more susceptible to the idea. They're like, ah, okay, I am able to understand what you're trying to pitch me, you know? So
I
yeah,
think that's a good mental note for the audience, and
yeah,
it also trains our resilience when it comes to change management.
for sure,
Um, it adjusts a bit our expectations.
for sure,
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
change management isn't easy. However, there's another topic you mentioned before and is even more complicated, which is data, the complexity of data, the volume of data. Um, However, data can have a very big positive impact. The question would be,
Indeed.
how do you think data will shape the future of healthcare?
Well, I think data is going to be the crux of everything, you know. Um, since I started digitalization, I learned that data tells a story. It tells a story about anything. It will tell you the story about what you want to sell. It will tell you the story about what you want to produce. And every day, as we are seeing, as I am seeing, companies are becoming more and more reliant on data-driven decisions. So data is already starting to and will be definitely playing one of the biggest roles in any innovation, in any decisions, in any, you know, any innovation that comes along the way will be based on some sort of data because that's the root of anything, right?
Yeah, indeed. And I totally agree with your point. Um, when it comes to data, it is a building block or a series of building blocks to employing AI. Um, every industry or market is trying to incorporate AI, some with success, some not so much. Um, and as far as I know, healthcare is doing this too.
Sure.
In what ways do you think AI can help and can impact positively the healthcare sector the most?
So in the near term, I think the biggest impact of AI and automation will be happening something in the background of the whole process. You know, maybe the patients or the users will not be able to see it directly, but I think AI is going to affect how the system, how any company works in the background. For example, supply chain optimization, something that is a very big problem, and that I think which can be solved with some sort of data-driven decisions, some sort of data optimizations, you know, revolutionary quality control systems that can be implemented in manufacturing and processes and so on and so forth. And for example, personalization of products, you know, all of these things that are happening in the background of the company, of any company, would be heavily impacted, I think, in a positive way, of course, by the use of AI and automation.
Funny you are mentioning the personalization of products because this is actually a project we are working on with a different customer in a different field, which is scientific instruments. However, again, pretty niched. And this is exactly the use case where we are employing AI and Gen AI more particularly. So it has a big use case, I understand, also in the healthcare industry.
I can totally see that happening. Like I read a lot of texts about such innovations and such ideas coming up, and I don't think it's going to be a question of if, I think it's a question of when.
When?
Yeah. So
Again, to zoom in a bit, what particular use case of AI do you recall that has been implemented already in your field?
well,
Maybe
very
something that made you more excited than the rest.
yeah, something so simple as let's say and I think the last thing that I remember that happened in this sector or and that used AI is, for example, how do you decide whether, to give you a very clear example, how do you decide if an organ has some amount of bone loss, let's say? I will go a little bit more deeper. Let's say, how do you say that you broke a leg and it is a compound fracture. So you have, let's say, multiple pieces, and your surgeon is
Mm-hmm.
just staring at your X-ray, and he doesn't, even though maybe really, really good, he might still need some assistance, some additional help to understand how the bone looked initially, right? And or how, if there is a surgeon who has cut open an abdomen and is looking for a cancer, and he doesn't know how it actually has spread out, and how do you
Mm-hmm.
remove something like this? And there have been tools that are currently in play by multiple companies who do this autonomically, like who go inside, identify which is your organ, which is not your organ. They identify which is maybe a cancerous cell and which is your organ, and how we can remove it from that area. And this automatic detection of, let's say, cancers is one of the biggest implementation of AI that I've seen, because the system, the software can tell you that, oh, this is not how it should be. This is extra,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something that we can remove.
And
This is
like you
something that
said,
blows my mind.
they can be the best surgeons, but still, there are some very
Yeah,
tiny details that might make a lot of difference.
yeah,
And
like last minute helps. I don't know, some idea might occur, and he or she can maybe do it in much better way. He or she may have a different idea. Of course, they will have their own experience, and they need to be that experienced to understand such outputs of AI. So a first-class surgeon would see some output of an AI model saying that, hey, I think there is something, there's an anomaly happening here in this part of the body. He would catch it. He's like, oh, you're right. This is what I needed to see. This is something that my normal eye didn't see initially. And this is
mm-hmm.
something that I am already seeing is happening right now, and I know that will happen for sure, like, also in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Fascinating,
better. It's getting better day by day, such things.
right? Like I said, fascinating. And I think it's a good moment to approach my last question, because you started this digital transformation journey, and you had some experiences already, valuable ones, as you already shared. Um, but there are other professionals, other MedTech companies that haven't started yet or are just at their beginning. What advice would you give them um, on how to approach their digital transformation? Maybe what they should do and what they should avoid doing.
So I think something that which is very important even for me, for my own understanding, is that we have to find the problem first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, sure, we can automate everything, but where's the value in that? That's what I was saying before. So the the first part of any digital transformation journey would be to identify and define a very high impact problem that is actually causing some problem to your company, some problem to the teams, some problem to manufacturing. There will be many if you look deep into it. You might find that normally you wouldn't look into, but suddenly when you do some deep research, you find, oh, there is a high impact problem that I can solve. A bottleneck maybe, as an example, in any of the existing processes. So this question then becomes the how part. Like, okay, I have now a problem. How do I want to solve the problem? And once you have the how, then you have the what. Okay, so what is the value that I want to do by solving this problem? If I am able to solve a bottleneck in my process, it will streamline my process. So my value becomes that the process is more leaner, it's more efficient, it's has, let's say, least amount of scrap happening. And this kind of questions will only come when we start with the high impact problem, the how, and the what. And once you have the whole thing designed, whole thing answered, all of the questions properly scripted down, then we break the problem into smaller chunks and try to automate the smaller chunks and then bring them together. So because I don't think it's going to help if we just try to automate the full industry overnight. I don't that's not going to be helpful at all. So this is something that I would normally give as an advice.
I like how you structured your answer. I can definitely see your technical approach. The fact that you first and foremost start with the framework and then with the how you instantiate this. So I think it's very well-rounded answer, and thanks for that.
Thank you.
And while we're at it, Devanshu, thank you a lot for your time, for your thoughts and your insights on innovation, on digital transformation, on data, and let's say your experience when it comes to the regular challenges you face in a very big medtech company. So yeah, thank you.
I would also like to extend my thanks to you and the team, of course, for inviting me. This is a very interesting, let's say, conversation, and this is a very interesting initiative. And I think I was just really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about one topic which is very close to me, and it just brings me deep joy. So thank you
I
very much.
think the passion you share for it is clear, and we can definitely feel it. And hopefully we can meet again to talk about the experiences you will have along the way. So again, thank you. Also, I'll extend my thanks to the whole Stryker team for being such kind people and also true professionals.
Sure. Thank you very much.
And
So,
yeah, you're welcome.
it was a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. So this brings us to the end of this episode. If you found our conversation helpful, insightful, or at least interesting, we'd love to hear from you. And meanwhile, please subscribe to Accessa Tech Talks on Bright Talk, and also follow our page on YouTube and LinkedIn. And of course, join us next time when we'll continue exploring the future of digital transformation with other voices from the field. Stay tuned. See you soon. Bye.